Hello, and today we'll be going over how to do histograms in R. All you need to make a histogram in R is the hist function. Some of the built-in options which change the appearance of the histogram that you produce in R are main, which changes the main title, xlab and ylab, which change the x and y axis title respectively, col, which changes the color of the bars, border, which changes the color of the border around each bar in the histogram, and breaks, which changes the total number of breaks or bars that you have in your histogram. To really understand how this function works, let's go over an example. And as a reminder, I provide the code and data of the example that I do in this video in the description down below. In the right side, I have my code that I will be using for this example. And so in lines 3 and 4, I simply load the data into R and then look at the object that I just loaded into R using the load and ls functions respectively. So let's run those two. Hit enter. And so I loaded the data into R. I use the ls function to see what I just loaded into R, and I see that I have a data set called skyline. So line 6, I just call that object and I'm going to look at it. So it looks like the data is a vector of about 2,000. Yep, a vector of about 2,000 observations. And so if we want to make a histogram out of this, it would be very difficult to do by hand. So let's just do it using a computer. And so line 8, I use the hist function with the data inside of the parentheses to create a simple histogram. So I'm going to run this in R, hit enter, and so now we have a very simple histogram of the data that we have in R.
However, if I wanted to change the main title of the histogram,
I'm just going to use line 10, which changes the main title to histogram of skyline data. So I'm going to run that in R, hit enter, and so now you can see that I changed the main title in R. And so now let's say that I want to change the bars in each of the histogram here to navy. So I'm going to use the col option to change the color to navy. So that's line 12, so I'm going to run that in R. And so now we changed the bars in the histogram to navy. In line 14, I changed the border of the bars to gray. So let's run that. I use that option border to do that. So let's run this in R. And so as you can see, they were black, now they're gray. And so now I'm going to want to change this x-axis title. I want to change it to skyline values, where the S in skyline is capitalized. And that I do using the xlab option in line 16. So I'm going to copy that and run it in R. And see, as you can tell, the x-axis title has now changed. And so sometimes you may want to have more bars or more breaks in your histogram. And so to do that, we simply use line 18, the option breaks. And so we're going to increase it to 35 and see what that does to our histogram. Run that in R. And so as you can tell, we've increased the number of columns or breaks in our histogram. And so just as a reminder, to save this file that you produced, simply go to File, Save As, and then pick your file type. We're going to go with PNG today. As you can see, we now have a picture of the histogram that we just produced. So now you know how to create a histogram in R and save the image that you produce. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Visit my website RGalleon.com for more R and statistics guidance. You can also visit my Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Have a good one.